everyone.
All right, we've got 19 participants.
How wonderful. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Please feel free to show yourself if you want or unmute if you like while we say hello. Hi. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Yeah. Hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
Great. And Becky just said hello, and Eswar.
Yeah, hello.
And welcome to my kitchen. I'm so excited. Hi, Manpreet.
Hello.
And Brandon. Hi, Brandon. Nice to have everyone with us today. You're joining me in Northern Virginia in Fairfax County. So good. All right. So I think we will get started. So I'm Alana Sugar. I am a certified nutritionist. I have been in practice for about 35 years. I do a lot of work for Pure Indian Foods, and I teach people how to eat a diet based on whole and real foods. And I've studied a lot of different systems of healing. I grew up in Hawaii, where I learned a lot about Chinese medicine and basically, grew up on a Japanese diet. And I lived for a year in India, where I experienced a lot of amazing food and culture for the entire year. And I also, I learned a bit about Ayurveda and continued to study it a little bit. So we're going to talk about a lot of that. This class is mainly going to be about Kitchari here. So let me get you guys up there. All right. So I'm a very informal teacher. I've got Courtney here from Pure Indian Foods. Hello, Jewel, who's joining me. She's our moderator, and she is going to be able to answer questions if I can't answer them about food or Pure Indian Foods products and things like that. So, all right. Like I said, you're here with me in my kitchen. I'm very informal. You should feel free to pipe up in the chat or unmute if you have a question anytime at all. And there might be times when I disappear for a second to take something over to the counter. I'm going to move you around with me here so you can see what I'm doing and what I'm working on as we go through this. And you also have handouts. So I think everybody should have a handout. So you'll have the recipes and the information that we're talking about. And as I go along, I will actually stop and make sure that you guys are good with the information, because I want to also check to see, hi, Alejandra. I also want to make sure that you have, if you have any questions, that your questions also get answered, and that maybe you'll have something, to add that I forgot to say, or some other comments. So we'll just open the floor at different times. Okay, you ready? Okay. Okay. So you can see there's a link to download your handouts. So I would love to know how many of you have actually tasted or experienced Kitchari, because it is, it's, oh, thank you, good. Yeah, we're getting thumbs up here. Kitchari is India's most beloved comfort food, and it's so beloved in India. I remember, because I was there literally an entire year. I remember that it was the go-to food that people would turn to when they were not feeling well, when they were convalescing. But here's the thing, they would also turn to Kitchari when they were in an emotional down period, a period of feeling sad or grieving over a loved one, or depressed, or just in general not up to speed with who they feel they really are, right? Those feelings. And Kitchari was the food that they turned to, because it has not just that nourishing quality, but it also is very nurturing. It's a nurturing food. It's an amazing and beautiful food that in its own way conveys its purity into us, right? So it is actually going back in history. It was referenced in the Mahabharata, which dates way back to like the 9th to 8th century BCE. And this was before India even created its great dishes like biryani and pulao that we all know and love. Kitchari was there, okay? And it's a very simple yet profoundly healing food. It's based primarily on split moong dal and in combination with basmati rice, white basmati rice. So let me actually show you here what I'm talking about. I put this away and I didn't mean to. So here we go, this right here. So you can see in this, just want to show you the yellow. You see that? Can you all see that? You see the yellow in there. So these are wonderful little tiny moong dal, or the tiny little split beans. And they are actually, here, I'll turn this down and show you here what this looks like, actually like that. There you go, for those of you who might not be familiar here. Okay, so basically these are split, and because they are split and that the husk, the outer green skin has been removed, they are way easier to digest than so many other kinds of legumes and even lentils. And so that is one of the reasons why it can be used without causing so much digestive distress in cases of healing, right? So, so the basic recipe is 1 cup of kitchari blended with 3.5 cups of water or broth. You could use vegetable broth, or if you're big on chicken stock or whatever stock you have, you could use that. Always add ghee to it. It carries the nutrition into the cells. And I think it's somewhat like a crime in India to not add ghee to to kitchari. You want to add turmeric to that, or kitchari spice mix, which is what I'm using today. And then some salt is always good, unless your broth is salted, but the amount of salt is up to you. But a general guideline is 1/2 teaspoon. You can always add more or less to your personal liking. I have blended right here. I'll show you. Actually, I'm going to add it in a second. Turn this down so you can see. I've actually got right here some kitchari spice mix, which I use. So it's, there you go. You can see that right there. So this is made with turmeric and coriander, cumin and mustard, ginger and fenugreek and ajwain. It's actually ujwain, I believe, and Himalayan pink salt. It's all certified organic, and I like it because it adds more flavor. But also, the ujwain is not exactly caraway, but it's similar, and I love that. Wow, cool. We're up to 24 people now. Excellent. So I thought, well, you know, you always want to have the turmeric and or a kitchari spice mix, because those herbs are not just anti-inflammatory, but they have varying tastes and properties that have effects on our internal organs, our organ systems. So much like in Chinese medicine, Ayurveda considers the tastes, the 6 tastes, extremely important for healing. So by using combinations of spices, you get those tastes, and especially when you start adding other foods, vegetables, fruits, whatever, and those are very important. So 6 tastes, and you'll probably already know these. So sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, and astringent. Okay, good. So additional ingredients are added according to the seasons and one specific body type. So that would be known as a dosha, or in Ayurveda, or one's constitutional type, and any imbalances in the body. So if you're healing and you're using kitchari as a healing food, whatever your great imbalance is, it can be corrected in part by food, in part by lifestyle choices. But you do that by focusing on the foods that balance whatever dosha or constitutional type is out of balance, right? So the most common and easiest to digest Kitchari is the one we're doing today. Now I'm also making one in the back that's finished I want to show it to you. And that's made with the green moong dal that's not split. So it's the green moong with basmati rice. And I've added all of the spices and ghee to that. And I will show you that too. And for those of you who just love Kitchari and you don't have issues with gastro bloating or problems digesting legumes, it's a fantastic, delicious Kitchari that you can make. So again, I'll show you exactly what that looks like. Now, Kitchari is extremely important in India's ancient healing system. Ayurveda itself, which is the ancient healing system of India, it recognizes Kitchari for its ability to aid in the detoxification of impurities from the body. So basically, Kitchari is also a detox, and often cleanses are undertaken just for that purpose, okay? So over time, toxins can accumulate in our body. And if you understand and believe, which I believe most of you do, or you probably wouldn't be here, that there's a mind-body connection. When we purify the body, it frees the mind, right? So it's a beautiful thing how healing becomes multidimensional when we undertake one aspect of it. Okay, and also in India, Kitchari is always eaten very soft, very mushy, very super creamy. It's not like cooking ordinary rice or pulao or biryani or anything like that. In fact, Sandeep, the owner of our company, Pure Indian Foods, he talks about how his mom would always just mash and smush the Kitchari, with the back of a spoon until it was just all kind of melded together like a creamy, creamy porridge. And that, again, aids even in that digestibility. So for people who are really compromised in terms of their health and they need that easy digested food, the Kitchari becomes ideal, especially when it's mushed and smashed like that. Okay. And if it's not that way, you should feel free to add plenty more liquid, increase your cooking time, just as long as you make sure that the Kitchari is actually super soft. So when you do that, you get that ideal creamy texture. It's right, it's good. I like to say it's 100% appropriate, whereas you wouldn't do that, if you're making pulao. It wouldn't be this plump of rice and vegetables. Okay, good. So we're going to start now by making Kitchari in the pressure cooker. So I'm actually going to move this so you guys can see everything I'm doing. I'm going to turn my workspace down here. So give me 1 second. There we go. All right, and I'm going to make sure you can see. All right. There, how are you? Can you see everything good? All right.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so in here, I've got my Kitchari mix and I put some ghee in there, right there. You can kind of see, okay, there's ghee in there too. And what I'm gonna do now is add water and my spices. So I've started with 1 cup of well-rinsed Kitchari, and now I'm gonna add 3.5 cups of filtered water to that. And I'm going to add my spices that I just told you about. I'm going to give it a stir here. And there you go. All right. And I'm just going to put the lid on that now. There we go. I've done this for a while, but hang on. Where's my, oh, here it is. Got it. All right. I had it turned around. Okay, everybody good? All right, so I'm going to put this on seal and I'm going to pressure cook it for 20 minutes. And then I'm going to, it's going to start here. And what I'm going to do is let this come to a release of pressure on its own, because we want it to sit there and just be really like creamy, like I described earlier. Okay, so I'm gonna put that over there and you will hear it bubbling away in just a minute. All right, so now we want to talk a little bit more about soaking Kitchari, because that's also an option and can shorten the cooking time and even make the digestibility even more easier, I should say. So prior to cooking, the Kitchari can be soaked anywhere from 30 minutes to overnight, or even 24 hours. And what you want to do is discard the soaking water and then add fresh water when you cook it. But as a general rule, you always want to cook the Kitchari with one cup of Kitchari to 3 to 4 cups of liquid. And that's going to be your cue right there. And then if the Kitchari is soaked before cooking, you may only need to go with 3 cups. But again, your goal is that you want this to be creamy. And that's always the end result. Soft, smashed, mashed, comforting, delicious, all of that, okay? So I'm gonna ask you guys for any comments, thoughts, questions, anything at all. Okay, anybody have any comments, please? Just, yeah, do you wanna say anything, Patricia?
Question.
My question is, can you do this? I don't own a pressure cooker anymore, so cooking it on the stove.
Yes, and thank you for asking.
Or a rice cooker. I have a rice cooker.
You can do it in a rice cooker and you can do it on the stove. And I'll just go ahead and show you now.
Okay.
I made the green moong dal Kitchari on the stove. So I'm gonna show you now, put it down there so you can see everything. Okay, here it is. And it's nice and creamy. Okay, and see how I can just mash it up here? Let me show you. Can you all see this okay? So you just want to stir and mash. And I could even add more liquid to this or broth, but this is really, really easy mash. So it's all going to melt together. So I literally just finished cooking it. I don't know if you can see the steam rising off of it. And this is what Sandeep's mom taught him to do. After you cook, just mash it. Like literally stir, smash, mash, all of this. And you can pour in other liquid. And quite frankly, Kitchari is a wonderful breakfast. You can eat it cooked with fruit, and you could add some non-dairy milk or dairy milk or whatever kind of liquid that you want to it, to add to it as well. Now you can also see, I hope you can see, as I'm mashing this particular Kitchari with the green moong dal, I can see this, the skins are separating from the yellow in here. But if you don't have digestive issues, this is a great Kitchari to use, and it's nice to use them interchangeably actually. But when you do eat this one, the skins that you're eating are actually food for your microbiome. So the bacteria that live in your gut, the friendly bacteria, eat these fibers. Okay, they are resistant to digestion in the small intestine, and they become excellent food for the beneficial bacteria that live in the large intestine, in your colon. And so it makes great food for them. And so again, you can use any that you want. So hopefully you can all see this okay, how it's getting smashed up. And this is wonderful. And then you can serve this with any number of toppings that you want. So if you look at your handout, I've just given you a range of choices for toppings, but that's not all. I mean, you can choose anything that you want that's not on this list. Always ghee should be cooked with the Kitchari. You can put additional ghee on top when it's nice and hot and let it melt. That's especially beneficial for Vata dosha and Pitta dosha. You can add virgin coconut oil, chopped tomato, avocado, scallions, onions, cucumber, which would be perfect, right, for the summer. Olives, cilantro, fenugreek leaves, lime or lemon juice. You can also do any kind of sauteed vegetables. What I did in preparation for the class was I roasted some butternut squash because we are heading into the fall here pretty quickly as we're going into September in a couple of days. And so we're going to be seeing more of those wonderful winter squashes. And I'll show you how I put it all together with my kitchari when it's finished here.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so let me put this back on the stove top here. All right. And then we will talk more about kitchari. And then also we're going to talk more about, let me adjust this. There
I
we
have
go.
a question.
Sure.
Did you actually use water because it seems to be thick, or is it because of the green mung bean?
It seems to be, did you say it seems to be yellow or green?
Okay, I think you said you used green mung bean, right?
Yes.
Okay, it seems to be that your kitchari is thick. Did you use water or did you use another liquid?
Oh, you said it seems to be big. Okay.
Thick, Thick.
Thick. I used water. I used 1 cup of the kitchari and 3.5 cups of water. And what I was saying is with that, what I would do, like that just got finished cooking, I would actually add more liquid to that and cream it out, you know, and mush it even more.
Okay,
You know,
and if you don't do it, is it still effective? If you don't do it, smash it as much?
Oh, no, you can add, sure, it's still effective. Absolutely, it is. As long as it's creamy and super soft. Yes. Yeah, you don't need to smash it if you don't want to. Here's the other thing is when you cook it in the pressure cooker, it absolutely gets even creamier than the stovetop. Okay, and you'll see the difference. You know, it's
Okay.
because you get in there and the pressure is going to just release very, very slowly. Yeah, Jewel.
Thank you.
Sure. Jewel, unmute yourself. Jewel, unmute.
Okay, just to be clear, I'm also going to be doing it by stovetop. When you cooked it, you just, because I thought I saw that she said 1-to-1 ratio for the water to Kitchari on the stovetop. It's just because you cooked it 1-on-1 with water and Kitchari, or when you just did it, do you do it 1 to 3 cups of water?
What is 1-to-1 in kitchari is the amount of rice to mung bean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what's 1-to-1 is the
Thank
amount of rice to the mung bean. And
Okay.
can be varied depending on the person. For example, there may be in Ayurveda, they may say, you know, because you have issues with blood sugar and diabetes, we want you to do 3/4 mung bean, 1/4 rice.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, but in terms of the ratio of liquid to kitchari, it's always going to be 3 to 4 times as much. Always.
Even for stovetop.
Yes, even for stovetop and could be even more. I mean, I have seen people eat kitchari like they would eat almost like a soup.
Yeah, porridge.
No. I've seen the monks do that in India. I've seen them eat it like more like oatmeal porridge. I've seen them eat it just in many different ways, and some don't add anything to the top. They just eat it with ghee.
Mhm.
That's it. Just a lot of ghee, you know, and they'll eat big bowls of kitchari with just ghee. It's, you know, it's actually mouthwatering.
Yeah.
How many servings is that?
So we figure, you know, about 1/2 cup of raw kitchari for 1 serving. So this would serve 2 people, you know, for a full meal, but it depends on the person. If the stomach capacity isn't like that, or they're a littler person, could be 3 servings right there, or 4, you know, if they're kitchari not for as a cleanse, but they're eating with say a side of salad or something else, then it could be, you know, 4, you know, so anywhere from 2 to 4 servings. That's a great question because how much is that serve? Yeah. But anybody else, any comments or thoughts? Doug, please unmute yourself now. Thank you, Joel. You can mute again if you like.
Thank you. I have a question. You used the word kitchari, or I'm using basmati rice. Is that what you're referring to? Because the whole dish is kitchari, But is there actually a specific khichdi type of grain or rice?
No, Kitchari refers to the combination, but I'm going to let Courtney speak to that.
Okay, I can speak to that a little bit. The most common version of Kitchari in India is going to be the basmati rice with the yellow mung dal, or Alana, maybe it's the green mung dal. I know it's mung dal, but
It's yellow.
it's yellow
Common
for
in India.
digestion.
Yeah.
But Sandeep was explaining to us that Kitchari could be made with quinoa and like other types of dal as well. So it's really just a blend of like the grain and the dal.
Right.
But some are more digestible than others, and they have different benefits or purposes depending on what grains or dal that you use.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Right, that's it. It's that we're doing the traditional Kitchari, but you can use any grain. You could use quinoa, you could use buckwheat, you could use another kind of lentil or dal to do this, but this is the traditional Kitchari that we're doing today, you know, and the one that's healing. Yeah, Courtney.
I also wanted to add that you can add so many different
Courtney,
toppings.
I think you chose.
Huh? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, my internet jumped for some reason. I was saying that you can add so many different toppings or like mix different spices or vegetables into Kitchari to make it different. I know somebody at the beginning was saying that Kitchari can be sort of boring, which is true. Just straight Kitchari with nothing added to it is pretty boring. If you're doing a cleanse, I guess boring is better. But I like to mix in like avocado and tomato and lots of lime and fenugreek leaves and chili pepper, which is not good for me because I'm trying to avoid things that are heating. I should be eating cooling foods, but I just love chili pepper so much. So you can add like a lot of different things to the Kitchari to make it more exciting, and it really is to taste. Somebody else was asking about what spices to add and what measurements. I mean, the world is your oyster. It could be any measurement.
That's
Of
right.
anything depending on what works for you and what you enjoy. So it's very versatile in that way.
Right, and that includes, like I was saying earlier, the liquid that you use. It doesn't have to just be water at all.
It could be broth.
It could absolutely be broth, totally. Yeah.
Or stock.
Or stock, yes. It's wonderful. And also can be very healing. So all of those work for sure.
Alana,
Good.
I have a question.
Sure.
Have you ever heard of anyone making Kitchari with coconut milk?
I never saw anybody in India do Kitchari with, like, cook it in coconut milk.
Uh-huh.
But that doesn't mean they didn't do it or pour the coconut milk on top of it when it was cooked. But
You
I
can
think
put it on top.
Yeah, but I think it would be delicious and rich and creamy.
I'm on a coconut kick, so I just wondered. We should probably ask Sandeep.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that. I mean, I don't care for the coconut flavor too much, but the coconut milk can make things wonderful. So I always keep some in my refrigerator or my freezer frozen to add it, in place of cream sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you want. I think there are no hard and fast rules with any of this.
Right.
The only thing I would say is if you really want to eat Kitchari the way it was intended to be eaten in India, then it should really be very soft, there you go. So can you read what was just said in the chat, Courtney? Because I think that was a nice fun fact there for us.
Sure. Matt says that Kitchari is primarily North Indian and coconut milk is used more in the South.
There you go. Okay, maybe that's why I didn't see it though. Okay, good. So let's go on because well, does anybody have anything else to add, or we'll just go on to the Kitchari cleanses? Okay, so we talked about soaking the Kitchari and everything. I also want to talk about a Kitchari cleanse because those of you who are familiar with Ayurveda will probably be familiar with this because around the world, the practitioners of Ayurveda, the doctors, the Vaidyas, they're called, also people who practice yoga, natural health and healing, and just the Indian people in general will commonly undertake a Kitchari cleanse. They might do this once, twice, 3 or 4 times a year. Some people might do it more than that. But basically, it's a mono diet where just the kitchari is eaten. Now, it can include a regimen of medicinal herbs or herbal ghee preparations. And in some cases, the kitchari is eaten at lunch and dinner, while breakfast might be something else, like just something very simple, like a hot beverage or cooked fruit or cooked porridge from oats, for example, with fruit and ghee. That could be taken, but typically it's that mono diet, that kitchari with the spices and the ghee, with your vegetables, that is known to be the most common cleanse. And by having the mono diet, it actually allows your digestive process to rest and also to just begin to cleanse the body. Now, some people will do this at the onset of spring, but also at the onset of the other seasons. So for example, the fall and the summer as well. And kitchari is great and can be tailored to any season that we're in, you know. So the kitchari can be eaten, like I said, at lunch and dinner. If breakfast is skipped, that's okay. Often that is part of the cleanse, where it's kind of skipped as a continuation of your overnight fast, right? Or just hot tea or hot chai with spices is taken, and the kitchari is just 2 meals a day, and that's it, okay? It can last anywhere from a few days up to a week, and sometimes even longer. It's common at the onset of spring, as I said, and that is because that's the time when the liver begins to cleanse the body and the blood, and it begins its natural detox, the body does. Now, it can also be undertaken in the fall, and that's also a good idea. Many people will reset their body with a 24-hour kitchari fast every week. So 1 day a week, maybe they take Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that's their 24 hours of just a kitchari cleanse. And that's how they do it. And that's okay too. It's actually really kind of fascinating, you know, to see how people use kitchari for healing. So questions about that, or anybody have ever done a kitchari fast and want to tell us what their experience was like?
Can you go over the cleanse? You said 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah, usually it can be anywhere from like 3 days to a week or longer. 3 days to a week or longer.
Okay, thanks.
For the kitchari cleanse, yeah. So again, you know, I mean, I've done it for like 3 days at a time. And what I will do, you know, depending on the season, is just use whatever vegetables. If I'm doing it in the spring, I might add asparagus to the, you know, to the kitchari. I typically always have ghee. Oh, I always have ghee, but sometimes I'll change the ghee around. I might do garlic ghee because I love it, or I might add like cultured ghee versus original ghee. Or I've done at times, I've done ashwagandha ghee, which is a great herb that's just great for just overall immune system health and boosting. And there are other times, you know, when I've seen people like my friend Annette, who orders from Pure Indian Foods, her favorite thing is to put the coconut ghee on it. So she loves that coconut. So it's a combination of extra virgin or the virgin coconut oil and the ghee. And it's, you know, just a really good organic, good fat to put on. The other thing is changing your vegetables around. My experience is that it works for me well to do 2 meals a day of the kitchari. And then I like to do some porridge, oatmeal with fruit in the morning. And that is easy, and it doesn't cause any problems. So hing is excellent. It's part of the spices that we add. I put just a pinch of the hing into this, so you can't smell it, but it's there with the salt and the kitchari spice mix, which does not have it in there. So we have our best hing ever that is great. And you can put a pinch of that, and that also aids in digestion. Yeah, put 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, there you go. I went, phew. Thank you, Courtney. Yeah, so anything else before we cook our jeera rice? Okay, so let's go on because I'm going to take you over to my stovetop, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. We're going to cook some rice here and some ghee, and make sure you can see this. All right, so let's see if I can you see that okay? Can you see the inside of that? Courtney, can you? Thumbs up.
I was giving you a thumbs up. I should have just said yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm actually going to heat this ghee now. I'm going to turn that on and heat that on medium-high heat. Okay, and what I've got is some of this amazing aged basmati rice, which I'm going to talk to you about in a little while. It's just gorgeous. And you'll notice that the grain is long. It's longer than normal basmati rice that you get. And it's also got a bit of a golden hue to it, which makes it also distinct from other rices. And this is due to the aging process. This is aged a minimum of 2 years. So it's the grains are super dry and they elongate just beautifully. I mean, they'll just get, I've like close to 1 inch long. It's just amazing. They're separate and they're just gorgeous. So for me here, what I'm going to do for the jeera rice is I'm going to actually add an Indian bay leaf for some flavoring. I think you can see that. And also I've got some jeera, which is the cumin seed, and I've got 1/2 teaspoon of that. I've got 2 cardamom pods, green cardamom, and I've got an Indian bay leaf. And I'm literally just going to put it all in there and let it sizzle here. And it's going to cook there in the ghee. I think you can see that. Please tell me if you can't see that. And then I'm going to let it cook, but not burn, but brown. Let's see here. Just want to make sure. There you go. And you can kind of see this. And it's very, very, very fragrant here. And as it starts to get slightly brown, that's when I add my my rice. And then I'm going to add some water and salt to that too. So I'm just doing here 1 cup of the rice to 2 cups of the water. And this is looking yummy and smelling good. And now is the time to add the rice. So let's do that. Just going to put that in there and stir that around like this. I'm going to get the ghee and the spices coating the rice. Turn that down. Turn the heat down. And by the way, the spiced ghees make amazing jeera rice or any other kind of rice. So you can use like the nitrikitty or garlic or herbes de Provence or the Indian dessert or any of the others, and they're wonderful. Put some salt in there and water and stir it around. There you go. Perfect. And this will come up nicely here to a boil, and then I will put that on simmer and let that cook. Okay, so there we go. I hope you can all see that. So the cumin seed is absolutely delicious. One of the things I love to do with cumin seed and on the other seeds like coriander is actually grind them myself. You know, buy the whole seed and grind it yourself. If you don't want to use the whole seed, you don't like that, you want it ground, you can actually put it in a coffee grinder or a spice grinder and grind it yourself, or you can buy it ground. There's just something kind of fun about grinding these things, like the do-it-yourself kind of thing. There you go. Can you all see that okay? And what is your thought about this? This is going to cook for about 20 minutes. So you could add some vegetables to this that you wanted to cook as well. Maybe some something that wouldn't become too mushy, you know, when you cook it. So maybe a little bit of winter squash or something, right?
Alana, I want to say something about the rice.
Yes, please.
This basmati rice is the best basmati rice. And I'm not even just saying that to try to sell you on the rice, although I do want to sell you on the rice because it's so freaking good. The grains of this thing, when Sandeep first like sent this to all of us and let us try it after he brought it back from India, like the longest grain of rice was over an inch out of the first batch of rice that I cooked. And I only cooked it with salt and ghee. And they were like, just so aromatic, opening the pot and nothing stuck together. And I was just wanted to eat the rice by itself. And that's not, I don't really want to add stuff to it. I like sauces, I'm like a sauce person. I want to add sauce and smother sauce all over everything. I could eat this rice just by itself for like breakfast, lunch and dinner. It is so yummy. Just have to say.
Awesome. Anybody have any thoughts or questions about that? You can feel free to ask Courtney or myself anything. So Susan has something to say. So can you read that to us, Courtney?
Oh, she said, what basmati rice am I talking about? I'm talking about our aged Himalayan basmati rice that's been aged for 2 years. So we have a limited amount on our store, but that is what we're using for the Kitchari blend. And yeah, thanks for pulling that out. And then we have it just by itself. I mean, I've had basmati rice plenty of times. I love jasmine rice. I've had so many different types of rices, but this one is just a step above. So good. I'm going to add a link in the chat.
It is. All right. So you can see that this is coming up to a boil here, which is good. So I'm going to bring it to a boil and turn. Yeah.
Doug's got a question. If you want to unmute, Doug.
Yeah, hi. Thanks. When you're using the pressure cooker, so you still cook the vegetables. If you put vegetables in there, you would cook them for 20 minutes before putting them in the pressure cooker. Does it really matter? Because the pressure gonna...
You don't want, you want to just put them in there. You know, the thing, remember though, the pressure cooker is going to cook things, the vegetables I mean, they could literally cook right into the kitchari. In other words, they might just meld right in depending on the vegetable, right? So you might want to cook the vegetables separately unless you're cooking the kitchari on the stovetop where you can kind of add them easily without letting the pressure out, you know, just by taking the lid off on the stovetop. Does that make sense?
So you I mean, because what I've done is I've gotten the flavors and I've stir fried the vegetables really quickly, and then I add it into the pressure cooker, and then I cook it, and then the past, and I'm just and the vegetables, they get a little soft, but depending on which one it is, but it doesn't seem to melt too much into the rice.
I think that's a great thing to do. You can easily do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Easily. Absolutely. That sounds great.
All right. Thank you.
Do you let the pressure release naturally then, or do you release the pressure?
At the end of the time, I switch it to pressure release, and it releases in about 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay, and that's why the vegetables are not getting overly soft.
Right
here. See, if you're doing how I'm cooking the kitchari, so it becomes super creamy. Today, I'm going to let it release on its own, which can take 20 minutes of it sitting there and getting softer and softer and softer. So
the other thing I've tried is the slow cooking overnight, and that's kind of interesting. It takes 3 or 4 hours, and then I get it in the morning. That seems too much. I don't know.
I've never tried it. So how is it now? You said it seems like it's too much.
Yeah, it just seems like it's too mushy. You really have to add a lot of water, I think, and just seems like the vegetables are too mushy. Right.
Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, that's good to know. Thank you for that. So we're going to let this just kind of cook here. Make sure that's good. Okay. All right. So that should be fine. And we'll just periodically keep an eye on that. I'll pull you back over here. So this, we've got our kitchari in the pressure cooker is going to be ready in 3 minutes. Okay. And then it's just going to naturally release on its own. We'll just let it do that. Okay. So we made the jeera rice. Now, you could do this rice if you wanted to. You could use any kind of broth you wanted, or a vegetable stock if you wanted to, or coconut milk. You know, you could do that. You could put curry powder in it. You can put your vegetables in it, or you can actually stir fry your vegetables. You know, after you've fried up the cumin seed, the jeera. You can add carrots and onions or whatever you want to that, and then you can cook it that way, and that would all be just absolutely delicious. So it's always good to experiment with your food. And one of the things that I think is so important about that in general is that every time you do something different, every time you add a new plant food to your diet, what happens is that you feed different bacteria in your gut. So these plants are creating like this brilliant ecosystem inside, and diverse, like this diverse ecosystem. And that's something that you want. You know, you really want to have this variation, this diversity. So adding different plants to your diet will work beautifully, as well as, you know, the right kinds of fats and other kinds of polyphenols, even like, you know, occasional dark chocolate or some red wine, extra virgin olive oil. All of these wonderful things are good. So, okay, let's see. Anybody else, anything to add before we talk some more? There was a question about the rice that just came up. Courtney, can you read that?
Does aged basmati rice have a health benefit compared to the non-aged? I don't actually know. It has a flavor benefit. I can ask Sandeep actually. Let me see what he says and I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, and one thing I will add is because the aged basmati rice is dry, it's drier, it's been dried, and it's a very dry grain. It would help to dry up kapha in the body, or dampness in the body. In Chinese medicine, it's dampness. The same is kapha in the Ayurvedic tradition. Okay, and that in the dampness in Chinese medicine is the excess congestion, the overweight, the aches and pains like joint pains, diabetes. These are damp, but the kapha is the same thing. It's structure and made of like water and dirt combined together, in a sense, earth and water. And so it helps to dry that up. So Courtney, did Sandeep get back to you?
Yeah, he says we don't have a scientific analysis of like the nutritional benefit or not, but he does say that it is easier to digest and it's recommended in Ayurveda to age the rice.
Mm-hmm. Good. Right. Okay. So again, this is but I would add that just because of its drier nature, it would seem that it would dry up the dampness or the kapha. Good. Okay, but we have no scientific data on that. Good. Okay. Any other questions about the rice or anything at all? Okay. So what are the benefits of Kitchari when it comes to Ayurveda? So according to Ayurveda, Kitchari provides clarity and lightness to the mind and body. It removes excess weight and bloat. So you can see why it might be something to use a lot more of after the winter, when we're eating heavier cooked grounding foods, more fatty foods, more thicker, heavier foods, right? It lightens us up for the spring, promotes healthy bowel function and regulation. It removes heaviness from congestion of the mind and the body. It also brings energy and well-being to the mind and the body, which is what I told you before. I've seen people eat Kitchari as a comfort food, not just for healing the body, but also for the mind. It supports and strengthens the digestive fire known as Agni. in Ayurveda, the Agni is such an important part of our digestive process. Digestion is nothing without strong, clear Agni, which is again that fire. It also improves metabolism, digestion, and overall good health. And it supports a sound and restful sleep, which is a natural side effect of cleansing the body of built up toxins and waste, right? So Kitchari is not just for cleansing. It's actually an ideal light meal that's easily tailored to each season. And it's paired with a variety of vegetables and spices. Ghee is always, oh, go ahead, Linda, about cultured ghee. What was that? I don't want to miss that. Courtney will read it to us.
She says, how do you make cultured ghee?
Oh, Courtney can answer that.
The difference between our original ghee and cultured ghee is more traditional. It's just one step in the beginning. Before you make the butter, you take the cream and you culture it with like a yogurt culture. So instead of just taking the cream and churning it into butter and then turning that butter into ghee, we first turn the cream into yogurt, turn the yogurt into butter, turn that butter into ghee. So there's one more step right at the beginning with the culture, with the probiotic.
Good.
And a lot of people ask, does ghee maintain the probiotic state? And the answer is no. It's like pre-digested kind of in the beginning, but the process of heating ghee does kill the culture. So we don't have it in the final product, but it typically does have less casein, less lactose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good. Anything else? Okay. All right. So, so ghee is always added and is always recommended by Ayurveda because it helps to carry the nutrients into the cells. And this is why ghee is used with herbal preparations as well. It's a carrier, a transport vehicle. And it provides beneficial fats that assist in balancing all three doshas. So ghee is appropriate for every dosha, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and we'll talk about the doshas in a moment. Also, according to advances in food and nutrition research, I thought this was really interesting, so I'll read this to you. In 2019, it was published in Science Direct, and this is a quote from 2009. Ghee, which they're calling here clarified butter, is an excellent anupana, which is a therapeutic vehicle for transporting the properties of herbs to the deeper tissue layers of the body. Proper digestion, absorption, and delivery to a target organ system are vitally important for obtaining the maximum benefit from any therapeutic formulation. The lipophilic action of ghee facilitates transportation to the target organ and final delivery inside the cell via the cell membrane, which also contains lipid, which is fat. A research study compared different forms of herbs and herbal extracts and found that the ghee improved the efficacy of the formulation compared to usage in powder or tablet form. And this is what the ancient Vaidyas of Ayurveda have been saying for 5,000 years, is that it's that carrier vehicle. So this is so brilliant how it was put into scientific literature for all of us to read, you know, in modern times. So for those who wish to avoid dairy for digestive or other reasons, you will find that the cultured ghee is a perfect addition because it, like Courtney was saying, it's batch tested and it meets the strict standards for casein-free and lactose-free. So that's one thing. And you can also use virgin coconut oil or another kind of oil, like a good quality almond oil or an extra virgin olive oil. Sacha inchi oil is an excellent oil. And all of these are satisfying and very, very nutritious fats as well. But the ghee has a special property to it that balances the all three doshas. And so we're going to talk about that right now. I'm just going to check and see how we're doing over here. Let's take a quick peek here and see. Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. And it cooks very quickly. So it's got just another minute here. The rice grains are separated and we'll leave it for just another few minutes. And then I'll bring it over and show you what that looks like. I also have to say, it's incredibly fragrant. So fragrant. I wish there was does Zoom have a little, like, something I could push where the fragrance could come through? Are we there yet technologically, Courtney?
I think we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer for smell-o-vision, but Futurama covered it, so it should show up sometime.
Smell-o-vision. There you go. That's what we need. Smell-o-vision. Good. All right. So, all right. So let's talk about the doshas then in Ayurveda. Okay. So when a dosha or a body constitutional type, when a dosha is aggravated, Ayurveda incorporates the opposite of whatever the imbalance is. Okay. So the Vata dosha, always starting with Vata dosha, this is the dosha that governs motion. Its nature is light, and you may see yourself as I'm reading these things. You may see yourself in some of these, or you may say to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm a combination of two of those, or I'm actually all three, and I don't know what I am because I'm all three. So, and that's called tridosha. Okay, so the Vata dosha governs motion. Okay, its nature is light, dry, cool, irregular, rough, and mobile. Its balancing tastes are sweet, salty, and sour. So right there, just knowing that if you have a Vata, your dosha, your primary dosha doesn't ever really change, but your doshas can shift in terms of aggravations as you go through life. But what you were born with is still there with you. That's a good question. So if you know that you're Vata dosha, and maybe you're finding that you're feeling nervous a lot, shaky on the inside, your digestion is off, you're kind of gassy or windy, and your eating has been irregular, you would then go to the sweet, salty, and sour flavors. So you would make sure to add your pink salt to your food. You would make sure to have some sour fruits, maybe a sour apple. You would make sure to have some sweets, even a little chunk of like the jaggery, or put some sweet into something that you're eating, like a cereal, or get your sweet from dates and figs and such things like that to help balance that dosha. So Vata dosha can benefit from Kitchari made with plenty of ghee, cooked zucchini, and other summer squashes that are cooked, as well as sweet potatoes, carrots, beets, and lemon or lime juice. Avocado, salted nuts, and seeds make great toppings for that. And all of these help to balance that Vata dosha. Okay, questions about that so far? Vata dosha types are generally quite thin. Okay, as a general rule, they're thin. They have drier skin. They have curly hair, and this is Vata dosha. And they're incredibly light, witty, intelligent people. But they have to be careful that they don't let themselves get out of balance where they're not sleeping, their sleeping patterns are off, their body is not feeling well in terms of their digestion. So they have to take care to practice calming exercises and regular patterns of sleep and eating. And that helps the Vata dosha. Good. Questions? All right. I'm actually going to turn my heat off here while I finish this. And then I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay. So, and this is now my Kitchari here in the crock pot, or in the pressure cooker, has been releasing itself slowly for the last 12 minutes. Okay. So the next dosha is Pitta dosha. Okay. So the Pitta dosha governs digestion. Its nature is bright, intense, sharp, acidic, and hot and fiery. its balancing tastes are sweet, bitter, and astringent. And therefore, the Pitta dosha can benefit from khichdi made with plenty of ghee, cooked broccoli, cauliflower, and leafy greens, or cucumber, grated carrots, sliced fennel, avocado, and cilantro. A small amount of lime is fine, but it's good to avoid sour lemons and other sour foods or sour citrus juices, as these can easily aggravate the Pitta dosha. So I speak as somebody whose primary dosha is Pitta with a secondary dosha of Kapha. And as I've gotten older, more Vata dosha comes into play for me, but still primarily it is Pitta. And I can say that unlike people who I'm very envious of, who can just sit down and eat like, you know, all of the berries and all of the grapefruit and yogurt and vinegar, I cannot do it. My tongue will hurt badly. It will cause my tongue to blister. It will cause my belly to roll around with excess acid. And this is Pitta dosha. It is Pitta dosha, 100%, you know. So I choose lime right here. This is a lime I'm gonna add because lemon is really sour and lime is sour and sweet, right? So this dosha will be just right for me. I'm sorry, this fruit will be just right for my dosha. Okay, so again, sweet, bitter, and astringent are the foods that balance the dosha. So when I'm out of balance, like with Pitta, I can go and get something like, I like to in Ayurveda, they have you take 6 whole almonds and soak them and then put them in a blender with water. And that's very alkaline to the system. So I will do something like that. I'll leave soaked almonds in my refrigerator, make a homemade Ayurvedic almond milk. I'll put cardamom in it and some cinnamon. And then I might put, I love the Ayurvedic ghee, I'm sorry, the Ayurvedic jaggery, or just the plain jaggery. Put a little of that in there with some vanilla. And it's just very, very calming to Pitta. And often it removes excess acid in my stomach. It's absolutely wonderful. You know, they have all these amazing, fun little tricks in Ayurveda that are meant to heal, but they're also just incredibly delicious too, you know? So anyway, that's Pitta dosha. So any questions about that before we move on to the Kapha dosha? Okay, so Kapha dosha. This is the dosha that governs structure. Its nature is solid, heavy, damp, cold, and sluggish, right? Its balancing tastes are bitter, pungent, and astringent. Therefore, Kapha dosha can benefit from khichdi prepared with a small amount of ghee, plenty of ginger and other spices, including hot spices, but not too much salt, okay? Cooked bitter greens, asparagus, carrots, okra, broccoli, all of these are excellent for this dosha. And you'll notice that the ghee is taken, but it is taken in moderation because the Kapha dosha tends to have a good deal of excess girth when they're out of balance. But the ghee is still indicated for them, but not to the same degree in the same amount as would be with Pitta dosha and Vata dosha. Okay, ginger is really great. You can cook with a cinnamon stick if you're making food for Kapha dosha. Fresh ginger added into your khichdi is excellent, or you can add it into stir frying vegetables to put on top of your khichdi if you want to do that. Kapha dosha are better not to overdo the salt, because what does the salt help the body to retain? Water. And Kapha already tends to retain water. And like I said earlier, you know, in Chinese medicine, this is Kapha is related to dampness. And like in Chinese medicine, Ayurveda in its own way recognizes that each of us have our own individual weather pattern that we live with. I mean, some of us are dry, some of us are damp, some of us are windy, right? Some of us are hot, some of us are cold. Sounds like I'm talking about the weather outside, but it's an internal condition, right? And so we always want to do the opposite, always, okay? So that is, those are the doshas. So now I'm just gonna pull
Can I have a
my
question?
questions. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry. So when you have a family
Yeah.
and they are different doshas, I'm curious about, because I know like I'm definitely different than other family members, but you want them to try and enjoy this, and how would it be more beneficial for them versus me? Is there like, should you do like the mung dal separate, or, you know, like without rice if you want to reheat for somebody, also timing for dinners versus, you know, just curious questions.
I think I would cook the kitchari plain with the turmeric or the the kitchari spice and ghee. And then I would look for the common vegetables that you can commonly eat together, or otherwise I would just do different vegetables, like, you know, if that's not too much trouble. And if it is, and you're feeding your whole family, then do a combination of vegetables that are good for all of the doshas, right? And then later on your own, when you're just feeding yourself your breakfast or your snack, then you can eat according to your own dosha better. Because what I have seen just with my clients in general, when they stress too much about feeding their family, when they're trying to change their eating habits, it backfires on them. And because the stress creates more problem, and you don't want frustration like that, you know? And, you know, there's nothing wrong. I mean, you can have all of the different vegetables and still work to balance your dosha. So this is just primarily, you want to focus on these tastes. You don't have to just be with those tastes exclusively. You follow what I'm saying? In other words, feel free to venture out, you know.
I've been doing it for years. It's just adding, you know.
For them, yeah.
Yeah.
Are they all pretty similar, but you're a little bit
I'm
different?
Vata. I'm Vata, and there are the Pita and
Yeah.
Kapha.
Yeah. So for you then, maybe you cook what is good for everybody, but then you add extra ghee to yours, or extra avocado, right? Or some nuts, and to balance that vata dosha more.
Yeah. I use coconut oil.
That's
predominantly.
perfect. Yeah, the coconut. That's excellent. Great. Anybody else, any questions or comments about that? Okay. All right. I'm going to pull over here so you can see this now. This beautiful rice. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to put this down so you can see right there. So this is this gorgeous rice, and the grains are separated, and it's so fragrant. It's absolutely gorgeous, and the grains are very long. Like, I'll see if you can see here. Let me pull up some of the Jira. Can you see some of these? Like, look at the length of these. I'm gonna try to see. Here, can you see how long that is? Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Can you see how long that is? Can you see that? It's just incredible. And then, and it just pull the bay leaf out. It's just fragrant and gorgeous, and I'm hungry. All right, let me put this in a bowl, and maybe you can kind of get an
Alana,
idea. Yeah.
how much rice did you put in that pot dry?
1 cup. And isn't this amazing? This would serve like 6 people, or at least 4. It depends on how hungry you are.
And what size pan is that?
This is like, I think this is like 1.5 quarts.
Okay.
And
So
it
when you're doing I'm sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
no, please go ahead.
So when you're doing the cleanse, you can eat as much as you want?
Of the rice, when you're doing this, you can eat as much kitchari as you need, because it's a mono
Yes.
diet. Yeah,
Okay.
but not the rice, the kitchari.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I called it in the wrong name.
No, that's cool. I just want to make sure, you know. So now this is just gorgeous. And what I would do with this, you know, and this again for you, Jewel, I think this would be really good. So you take this, and then see, I've got my ghee is like, oh God, melty, and I would just drizzle this all over the top. And you can also go ahead and put on this. You can put your vegetables or anything you want on it. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, just make it absolutely amazing. Okay, excuse me. and never put a spoonful of ghee that's got even a drop of ghee in the sink before you make sure you gobble it up. That's not in any scientific journal, it's just wisdom. Okay, so there's that. All right, now the premium aged basmati rice. Let me show you that. And oh, it's right here. This is it. This is the rice I was showing you earlier. It's that right there. Okay, so I want to talk to you about what the difference is here. Okay, so basmati rice is native to India. You probably know that. It's an age-old staple of the Indian diet. And in Hindi, the name basmati actually means fragrant and aromatic. The highest quality and most premium basmati rice available is always aged. Okay. Courtney, did somebody have a question just a moment ago in the chat?
Oh, Amy was asking about the bay leaf.
Okay.
She was saying, is the Indian bay leaf different from the Western one? And I was saying that the Indian bay leaf is actually a leaf from the cassia tree, which is like sometimes cassia is a cinnamon tree, but it's not true cinnamon. Ceylon is true cinnamon.
Right.
But people sell cassia as like a cheaper version of cinnamon. And they're using the bark from the cassia tree as a different type of cinnamon. But the leaf of that tree is what we're calling the Indian bay leaf. And it's very different from the French bay leaf that you may be familiar with, which is actually a laurel leaf. So she was also asking any potential substitutes or just leave it out.
If you don't have it, you could use a regular bay leaf.
Yeah.
But it is different. Now I'm going to show you this. I'm going to
Has a different flavor.
Well, and not just that, but it is a different length.
Yeah.
I mean, it
has
all,
5 long veins on it.
Yeah, it's just, look at this. It's amazing. These dried leaves, I'm never going to get these back in here.
Let me see if I can find a picture. I'll post it in the chat if I've got one handy.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. And, you know, so it does flavor the food. But you could use just a regular bay leaf. That would be fine as well. Or you can leave it out. It's totally fine. So, okay. So the aging rice, what it does is it produces a really high quality rice that's extra long and slightly tapered ends. So again, I've got half of a piece of the, let me see if I can show you there. So here we go. All right. Let's see. Can you see that on that now? That can you see it's got the ends are tapered. It's just so cool. As the rice ages, it actually dries and elongates, and it takes on that golden hue I was telling you about earlier. So this aging process, because it's slow, it ends up concentrating the flavor, and it assures that the rice is completely dry so that it ends up cooking perfectly and never mushes together. In India, unlike say in Japan, you know, where the rice is sticky and all clumps together and they like it that way, in India, they love their rice to be dry and the grains separated, you know? So each grain can be fully cooked, separate, light, fluffy, and then incredibly flavorful. And you can see that, you know, when you cook it. Okay, so when cooking aged basmati rice, the ratio of water can change. And this is because the longer the rice ages, the drier and more desirable it becomes, and the more liquid it would absorb. So regular basmati rice might be 1 to 1.5 or 1 3/4 cups of water. In this case, it's 1 to 2. Okay, so because like I was saying earlier about soaking up dampness or kapha in the body, that aging process dries that out. And so it's going to absorb more water. And what I find so fascinating is that in the absorption of that water, the grain continues to elongate, literally lengthwise, and it doesn't get fat. It's just like, oh, it doesn't expand out in the middle like people usually do. You know, when we get fat, what it does is it just elongates and gets like skinny and long, and gosh, it's like it's just so cool. I don't know what else to say about it. Okay, so we recommend cooking 1 cup of the rice to 2 cups of water or broth, and the cooking time will vary depending on the method that you're cooking it with, a stovetop, baking it in the oven, cooking in a pressure cooker or a rice cooker. But do remember that as an alternative, if time permits, you can soak the rice for up to 30 minutes before cooking, but you want to discard that soaking water. So throw it out and then use fresh water for cooking. And the rice may cook a bit faster, and you may be able even to use a little bit less water if you soak it first. But that's going to be trial and error. And again, that will depend too on your cooking method. Making perfect rice can be trial and error until you get your ratio just right. So don't be afraid to experiment with the amount of liquid that works right for you. And just what I always do is I take cooking notes so that I remember what I did. And then you can always change things around or improve on it the next time you cook it. All right, and then you want to keep plenty of ghee on hand, because in Indian culture, basically it is disrespectful to serve rice without gorgeous golden ghee, and I can attest to that as well. So the jeera rice that we made, cumin rice, it is a really popular dish in India. It's simple, but it's really flavorful. So recipes for jeera rice will vary considerably, but the most important ingredient would be the cumin seed, the ghee and the salt. But then other than those ingredients, spices can vary and might include cinnamon, like the cinnamon sticks, which are often cooked into the rice, cardamom, the whole cardamom, which I did, cloves, the whole clove can be cooked in, chili peppers, black peppercorns, lemon or lemon juice can be added. It's fragrant, easy, and delicious. So questions before we go ahead and get our pressure cooker open here? Anybody have anything else to say? Okay, so I'm actually going to release the pressure here, and it's already released. I'm going to open this and show you exactly what we've got in here. Let me put this over here. All right, and here we go. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm gonna get that down. There you go. And let me get, so use this. So you can see here. Okay, this is just super, super creamy here. If you can see, would it be easier if I take this out? Let me do that. Let me grab this and take this out and see. There we go. Yeah, I think you may be able to see it better this way. All right, there. Let's see. I can't really tell. So you guys, y'all let me know. See how creamy it gets in the, can you see that? It's so super creamy and very different than stovetop cooking. So this is really melded, soft, porridge-like. Again, see that? What do you think? So this is the kitchari here, and I'll show you how I'm gonna serve it. Okay, I'm gonna put it in my bowl here. Get the kitchari here. Like that. Okay, and then I am going to put on it what I made, which is butternut squash, which I had roasted. So I'll put some of that on it, like that. There you go. And then I'm gonna put some cilantro and chopped scallion, which I personally just love. There you go. And I'm also gonna do some roasted pumpkin seeds, because I love those too, and spread those all over. And then I'm gonna just give my lime here a quick rinse. And I'm gonna cut just a wedge here of the lime, because I like that also just on it, to get it like sprinkled on a little bit. There you go. So I've got a wedge of lime here. I'll put that right there. And I've got an avocado, And I'm going to just cut some avocado here and show you what I'm going to do here. There you go. My avocado. There you go. And I'm just going to take, oh, I think this will be fine. So I'm just going to cut my avocado, if you can see it like this, and put some different little chunks on there. Scoop it out like that, and then just put some avocado over the top. Here.
Is it cruel that we're doing these Zooms at lunchtime? Maybe we shouldn't do these at lunchtime in the future.
Yum. There you go. Yeah. All right. So then I like this.
Alana, tilt the camera down. We can't see it.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. Thank you for telling me. You have to be able to see this. Thank you. Can you see it now?
Uh-huh.
All right. So now I'm just going to squeeze my lime over that, and that's it. Now that is exactly how I'm going to serve my kitchari, just like that. Is that beautiful?
I love that you did the butternut squash with the toasted pumpkin seeds.
Got my jeera rice too, and this is gonna be way too much food for me for lunch, but okay. So that is it. I'm trying to make it where you guys can see that. So this is how you're gonna do your kitchari. And you're gonna change your vegetables according to whatever you want and the season that you're eating the kitchari in. And you can add, you know, if you're not a cilantro fan, you could do parsley, you could do any other herb that you love, and it's all just fine. Good. All right, so let me put you back up here and take any questions, comments, thoughts, anything at all. Thank you for being here.
This might be a crazy question, but
No such thing. Yeah.
you cook the mung beans and the rice in the pressure cooker. And then you mentioned the other rice that you said it'd be too full. Do you actually eat both at the same time, or you were just showing a different way of?
Oh, that's a great question. And I'm so sorry I didn't make that clear. No, I would not eat them both at the same time. I would eat the kitchari as a meal, and the rice I would eat separately at another meal with other things, maybe with some lentil soup, or maybe with some roast chicken and vegetables, or a salad, and maybe an omelet, something like that. So I would do it differently.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Patricia, did you want to say anything or add?
Yes, I have a question. If you were doing this for cleansing, the kitchari just for cleansing, would you add as much of the vegetables if you really just wanted to do like a mono?
If you were going to do this as a kitchari cleanse, then I would add, yes, some seasonal vegetables with cilantro. The thing about the mono diet is you want to just pretty much eat the same things for each meal. So if you're doing the kitchari, you know, you might just do the kitchari with, well, just like this, you know, butternut squash, cilantro, ghee, and pumpkin seeds. And you do that breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right?
Okay.
And that for 3 days. And that way, again, it focuses the body on just those few things that are easy to digest. And then the body can go about its business of cleaning up debris that it no longer needs. But you can also get really fancy with kitchari, but that's not recommended for, you know, fasting, where you're just throwing everything at it and all these different stuff.
Okay.
You know, but you can do it. I mean, you could serve a dish like this, you know, with some great lamb chops on top, or some, you know, whatever, you know. And if you're vegetarian, you would certainly do this, but you could throw something else on it, you know. So it just depends on what you want. But for cleansing, I would say stick to a simple mono diet with a few things.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay. Well, I think we're about finished then, Courtney.
All right. I'm going to post this video on YouTube, and you guys can find a link to the YouTube video on our website at pureindianfoods/pages/Zoom-webinars. You can also find that link in the footer if you don't remember that. So you can check that link all the time for our past webinars and future webinars. We do have another one tomorrow. And And then we will have the next one, I believe, in October, right, Alana?
Yes.
All right, so thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it. Hope you learned a lot. And of course, everybody loves Alana, so thank you, Alana.
Hey, thank you all so much. Thank you for everything. Thanks, Joel. Thanks.
I'll be posting the YouTube link in the next couple of days here, so just keep an eye out for that.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
All right, bye-bye.